People cheat because they're lonely. Sometimes that affairs happen in happy couples too.
They're so compelled when I tell them that we do that. The first one was about cheating, but specifically this idea that even people in open relationships cheat, as we can't resist what is forbidden. So the situation you were describing there seems stereotypically like a situation where the man would then go on to cheat because his needs aren't being met. Why do people cheat?
I mean,
because we tend to think it's because one person isn't getting what they want, or because one person's a bad person, or...
Look, people cheat for a host of reasons. Some of them have to do with the relationship. A loneliness is probably the biggest one.
And
I can wait.
I was going to say, the variance between men and women when they cheat.
All right. So the first one is, why do people cheat? The second one is there a difference between infidelity in men and in women? So let's start with the first thing. Okay. I mean, I put much of this in the state of affairs in the book because I had spent 10 years studying affairs and infidelity. So when you ask me how many couples, it's a lot of couples. And I really thought this experience is so shattering in so many relationships. There must be another way to understand it. It is more complicated than, and there's so much suffering around it. I want to really delve into this deeper. So people cheat because they're lonely. They cheat because they have been sexually frustrated for so many years. They cheat because they are resentful. They cheat for vengeance and vindictiveness. They cheat because they need to constantly be affirmed by anybody that can make them feel better about themselves. They cheat for a host of reasons that have to do with conflict and discontent and disconnection in their relationship. But they also sometimes have affairs that have nothing to do with the relationship. And that's what was one of the big discoveries for me in the book. It was that sometimes that affairs happen in happy couples too. And that sometimes it's not that you want to leave the person that you are with as much as you want to leave the person that you have yourself become. And it's not that you want to meet another person as much as you want to meet another self or other parts of yourself that have disappeared in your life. And that at the heart of affairs, you find betrayal and duplicity and lying and cheating. But at the heart of affairs, you also find longing and loss and yearning. And the word that I heard the most, and this brings us right back to the beginning of our conversation, all over the world, I've gone to 22 countries on this one, is that when people would describe their affairs, they would say, they talked, I'm not talking about paid sex, every night sex, I'm talking about affairs and, in a more meaningful sense. But people really talked about the fact that they felt alive. So affairs are erotic plots. They're not just about sex, actually. They're about feeling alive and reconnecting with an essence of something for many people. But there are many different stories around affairs. For most of history, men have basically practically had a license to cheat. And it was explained that they are more nomadic and roamers and conquistadors, and that they are more quickly bored and they are in need of novelty. I mean, basically, we gave them all kinds of justifications to explain, and to rationalize why it happens to them and not to women, when in fact it didn't happen to women because the consequences were far more dire on women than on men. So we said that when women cheat, it's because they are lonely and they are in need for intimacy. And, all of these stories have been kind of rewritten by now.
The biological consequences of a woman cheating were she would get pregnant back in the...
That's one. She'd get destitute.
Yeah.
She'd lose her children. She had, come on, we're talking till the 70s, women didn't have access to their own bank accounts. On what was she going to survive? She would be walking with a scarlet letter. Everything you want. So the consequences on women have not necessarily had different aspirations or fantasies than men, but the women have done what makes them safe more than what makes them feel good.
I felt like I was alive.
Yeah.
You hear that from people who have cheated on their partner. Does that then infer that one of the causes of cheating is that it felt like the relationship, or us as a three, me, her, or me, him, and the relationship were dead?
Or, yes, deadened. Yes, an affair is often experienced as an antidote to that kind of deadness. Yes. But of course, my next sentence would be, if people were to put 10% of the creative imagination that they put into their affairs, into their marriages or primary relationships, those relationships would be doing so much better.